800-951-0592. Kind of interesting that we talk about what's going to happen with the issuance of debt. Right? That they've been playing this game to try to pretend things aren't that bad, right? To limp along, keeping the 10-year note way below where it should be. And, of course, people are, well, it's that way because the 10-year note's worried about the economy. It was all not. They were just playing games. Kind of like the banks. Hey, if we just don't tell everybody every day that the banks are borrowing hundreds of billions. By the way, they got in 9 months, and every week that goes by, that's another week. They only were allowed to borrow the money for a year. Why do I got a feeling when that year is up, they'll figure something out? Don't worry. But Jay Powell, this makes a lot more sense to me now, because when I first saw this, matter of fact, I've been sitting on this since like last Thursday, because I was like, God, I don't quite understand. Nobody's making a big deal about it. But this is what he said, that he is going to, in front of the Senate Banking Committee, when he was testifying in front of Congress, Jay Powell was talking about the need for banks to hold more capital. Interesting. Because I thought you guys fixed that with Dodd-Frank, right? Oh, yeah, all fixed. Yeah, we changed the capital requirements. It's all good. Now, this rule will not apply to banks under $100 billion, which is essentially what? All but maybe 30 or 40 banks. Right. Think about that. Think about what I just said. There's only like 30 or 40 banks that have more than $100 billion. Right? I mean, that's the scary part. And of course, most of the ones that are below this level are probably the ones that need the capital when all of this plays out. But I guess it does make sense now saying that, hey, they need to have more capital, and the changes are expected to occur next year, Jason. And, of course, I just said, well, gosh, there's another $1.7 trillion in treasuries, and these banks are probably going to be forced to take it. That's my guess.
Yeah, it's going to it's been grinding slowly worse, Joe. You know, I think everything that they've done since 2020, I'll say since 2019, and of course, the more you do it, the more further back you can go. But since 2019, when it started bubbling up that things were going in the wrong direction, they've been doing every step to, I think, slow down what's getting ready to happen. And a lot of it just definitely seems to go in line with a new monetary system, a reset. So that's why the main reason I look at the reverse repo market, at some point, it's going to be every man for themselves, so to speak, and everyone's going to be looking for capital anywhere they can get it, and those big institutions will pull that money out of there. So I kind of look at the reverse repo as kind of a fuse lit on a bomb, because when that thing empties out, that's when everything goes haywire, Joe, because there'll be no more, then suddenly say, well, is the Fed going to start printing? And with all this interest rate hikes and higher interest rates, it's not going to be as easy just to print and keep higher interest rates. It used to be drop the rates, print the money. I've been saying for a while, is there going to be a higher interest rate situation where they print money? And Joe, it's like you just said a little bit ago, it's very expensive. This is expensive money now. Expensive money is something that's very painful for all these freewheeling, easy, low-interest borrowers that they've been doing the last 15 years. This is, for some people that are in this game now, this is brand new territory. They've never even seen this before, right, Joe?
Well, this is, man, I think you nailed it. This is expensive money now. Yeah. And the problem with expensive money is it's twice as bad when all the other money for the last, really, let's face it, 20 years, give or take a few years, has been cheap money. That's the problem. So we didn't know what was going to be the effect of having interest rates at zero for, a decade and a half plus. We didn't really, what was the effect of that going to be? Well, guess what? Come August, we're going to start to find out. what the effects of that is going to be. And unfortunately, it's a pretty easy thing to figure out. This is going to be very problematic. This is going to be problematic for Wall Street. This is going to be problematic for banks. This is why Janet Yellen, the other day, the lead article on Patriot at All American Gold. More bank consolidation is coming. What does that mean? Well, bank failure. And some of that means, well, we're not going to call it a failure, but they miraculously, all these banks just got bought by these other banks, but it wasn't a failure. Okay, sure it wasn't. Call it what it doesn't matter. Because they already know. And this is the problem. And all of these things, all of the data, all of these experts, I'll give you a great example of why you can't trust them. Today we had new home sales come out. Now, anybody that knows anything about the housing market at all, okay, just a little bit, knows the only homes out there are new ones. Right? New homes are selling. Why? Because, well, there's nothing else to buy. Today's headline, ready for this? Now, these are by the experts. New home sales unexpectedly explode higher.
Yeah.
What do you mean unexpectedly? It's not unexpected. Anybody, if you actually follow housing, that's not unexpected at all. And here's what's amazing, is the experts said, well, we were only thinking that we'd have a 1%, 1.2% rise. What? Are you kidding me? Right, I can tell you here in this town, there are no homes out there. There is not. And all the new homes are the only thing that's selling, and then they want to act like it's all shocking and surprising. And this is why, if these are the housing experts, Jason, we got a problem. And I got to tell you right now, housing now, I think we're finally going to see. This is going to be it where I think we get to the point where nothing sells. I don't know that we're going to see price drops because there's nothing available. But now it's going to be, oh my gosh, the 30-year fixed mortgage is 8.5%. I can't afford the payment. I can't afford an $800,000 house at 8.5%. I can't afford a $400,000 house at 8.5%. I can't afford a $1.5 million house at 8.5% because that looks like that is where we're headed. If we're going to get a rate hike, which we think at the end of July, and then the Treasury's going to be like, starting in August, we got to sell more long-term Treasuries. Looks like rates are going to go higher. 800-951-0592. Jason and I coming right back. $800 951-0592. Now, full disclosure, listen, this is going to keep gold and silver under wraps, under pressure for the next 30 to 45 days. No doubt about it. But this is why I said you're in the sweet spot here. This is when you have to have the discipline to be buying at these levels, because it's the aftermath of all of this that you're going to see the big moves. Let me give you an example. So, interest on the debt. Let's just start with defense spending. Defense spending, the Defense Department spends $10,000 about every 11 seconds. Okay. Interest on the debt rises by $10,000. I couldn't push the button fast enough on my stopwatch, right? So I got I wrote down 1 second. But I hit start, and then I hit start, and by the time, somewhere around a second. So you can see how the interest on the debt is rising compared to defense spending. How about Social Security? Social Security spends $10,000 about every, Jason, and again, it was tough to do, fast enough, about every 1.4 seconds. So right now, interest on the debt is even outpacing Social Security. It's becoming a huge juggernaut. By the end of this year, interest on the debt will be the third biggest expense. And the way, though, these rates seem like they're going to go, it's going to be right there with Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. Now, if you combine Medicare and Medicaid together, then that's bigger than Social Security. But if you take them separately, essentially, in fiscal year 2024, interest on the debt will be the second largest expense the government has.
Yeah, I don't. There's no way to stop it. I mean, even if all of this was slowed down, it would still happen. It was. I've been waiting for this to happen, for a while. I've been watching it as it slowly gets bigger and bigger. It was always going to be the number one thing that's going to be paid is the interest on the debt until, magically they change something. Because remember, money's just an idea. They can change this whole thing. They can rig some idea, right, Joe? Which is what the Fed does. And you said earlier the last segment about hey, in August we're going to see what 15 years of 0% is going to rear, right? But I'd say
it starts in August, right? But we've got.
I would say it started 2019, Joe. I'd say it started then. I think they knew that when 2019 happened, the repo markets and all that stuff started happening, and they immediately put the rates back down to zero, and then just miraculously, here comes the biggest emergency in world history with COVID. I think they knew exactly what they were getting ready to do, which was, hey, dropping to zero and printing is not going to work this time. Yeah. So I think the last 4 years has been in preparations. I think what's going to happen by August, that's another step in it because I think they know what's happening, Joe. And I think they're, I just don't think they know how it's going to, the explosion's going to happen, but you don't know exactly how the explosion's going to be exactly. You know what I mean, Joe? They know it's going to happen. This is happening, right?
Yeah. This is the uglier part now because let's just say the Fed hikes a quarter of a point in July. And then let's just say after that they're going to take another pause. Okay, so they're going to go another. Hey, we're going to go at least 12 more weeks, and yet the 10-year note instead of, maybe it goes at 3.7, okay, 3.8, 3.9. All of a sudden it's 4, 4.1, 4.2, 4.3. But wait, the Fed. Why is it doing? The Fed's not raising 4.4, 4.5, 4.6. Right? This is going to be the problem. This is a huge, huge issue, and this is the downfall. We already know. Remember when the 10-year note got almost to 4%. That's when all the banks collapsed, right? That's when we had all the banks are going under, right? This is saying with J.P. Morgan, B of A, here's what they're all saying. Forget about 4%. We're not talking about 4%. We're not talking about 4%. We're not talking about cash back. Right? We're not talking about 4%. This is something much, much worse than that, and I think this is why you gotta be smart. You gotta put things away. We got the best pricing in silver out there. Even though silver's up again today, I don't care. Same pricing. Silver Eagles rolls of 20 at $700 a roll. That's 50, 60. Some guys out there, that's $100 a roll less. Cases of Silver Eagles. We are $2,000, $3,000, and $4,000 a case less. 1 through 4. 500 ounces. The Green Monster Box. 25 rolls of 20. $17,250. You want to buy 5 cases? We'll take it down to $17,000 a case. That's like $85,000 for 5 cases. You go out to these guys out there, the cheap guys on the internet, and you buy 5 cases from them. Jason, you're going to be paying $100,000, $100,000 plus.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's always good to have the cheapest metals available out there. It's always there's a lot of competition when it comes to selling metals. So We're always very competitive anyways, and also we're actually flesh and blood people you can actually meet with to pick up your product. Whereas sometimes these bigger guys that sometimes can have the better prices, good luck when you try to sell it back to them. Good luck trying to answer any questions or any of that, Joe. So you get the best of both worlds. Great price and a good company where you can actually talk to somebody about what you're doing.
And great service. 800-951-0592. Jason and I were coming right back with the final segment. Eight 800-951-0592, Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason wrapping it up today. Lordstown Motors filed for bankruptcy today. It's really been incredible, the corporate bankruptcies, and it hasn't been getting the news. Again, we've got a handful of stocks just continuing to hang in there. How about Walgreens today? Huge miss by Walgreens, lowering earnings now significantly, like 18% cut in earnings expectations. They're saying, Jason, the consumer's starting to struggle. Profit margins were off by about 10% from where they thought they were going to be. And now Walgreens, their shares were down to the lowest they've been since 2010. So, again, get ready here because all the stuff we talked about so far today is not good news for anybody. Rolls of U.S. Silver Eagles at $700 a roll. Cases, 500 ounces, the green monster box, $17,250. You buy 5 cases or more, $17,000, thousands of dollars below the competition. On the gold side, U.S. $20 gold pieces, 1 through 9, $21.50, 10 through 19, $21.40. 20 to 49, $21.25, and today 50 or more at $2,100 at 800-951-0592, and again we're kind of in this perfect calmness, right? Where hey, we took this pause. We've got some good data, right, that says, the economy's still hanging in there. It'll be interesting what jobless claims are Thursday. But outside of that, we now know when the next wave is coming. That next wave is in August, and there's nothing they can do about it. Whether they raise rates, don't raise rates. Jason, this is just simple math, and everybody better get ready.
Yeah, that's August is getting close to about the 6-month mark when those first bank failures were happening, and it takes a little while to unravel all those assets. And I said back then, I was like, well, you got to look at the 3-month, 6-month, 9-month to see more stress coming from more banks, because once you unravel all that debt that's coming from a failing bank, then the next one's like, oh, wait a minute, we were heavy in their stuff too. Well, now and Joe, it's just everything we just talked about today. Much more stress. The bank failures, I think, are going to look much like 2008 to 2013. It starts up and it just gets up and just fires up real heavy. I think 2024 and 2025, the amount of bank failures that we're looking at are going to be huge numbers. I think we, even though there's less banks today than there was in 2008, I actually see where we could have more bank failures than we did in that time frame back in 2008 to 2013. So it's happening.
Yeah, Jeff Gundlach today surpassed $32 trillion, sprinting to $33 trillion. Like Jason said, interest expense is flying, and it is becoming a major accelerant. And talking again, the same warning, long-term rates, which have been incredibly low, appear now to have no other place to go but a lot higher. And, of course, that just makes the problem that much worse. Get your gold and silver put away beforehand. 800-951-0592. Jason and I, we're coming right back with the Half Empty Cup.